So Canada isn't in a housing start slump, but Ontario is. I just read a report out of the RBC that seems to make sense to me. I'll put it in the link for you to have a look at. So when Ontario slows, it trickles down to every market, including right here in Niagara. Let's look at how the region and Fort Erie specifically performed over the last week. Across Niagara, we're sitting at a whopping 3,354 active listings. That's a ton of inventory for buyers. In the last 7 days, 299 new listings came on the market, while only 102 sold. That's a sales to new listings ratio of about 34%, which tells us the market is strong for buyers. The average price across the region is $754,796, with houses taking about 45 days to sell. When I share that stat, that is for the ones that are actually selling, and they're well priced in order to sell with this much inventory. The market is still moving, but slower compared to peak periods, of course. Inventory is a big story here. At roughly 6.5 months supply in Niagara, buyers have options, and whenever buyers have more choice, sellers need to stand out with the right price and presentation. Let's take a look at the region. In Niagara Falls, homes are on average taking 21 days on the market to sell. It's much quicker than the regional average, with the average price just over $613,000. In St. Catharines, we're seeing more volume, 27 sales in the last week, with prices around $732,000. Meanwhile, in Port Colborne and Wainfleet, it tells a different story. Average prices there this past week were high at about $1.49 million, but the average time to sell there this past week was 98 days on the market. That's a clear example of how the luxury waterfront segment is behaving differently, and those larger properties, higher end properties, are performing differently. Here in Fort Erie, we've got 529 active listings and 34 new listings posted out this past week. Only 8 sold in that same period, which brings the month of inventory to just over 10 months. Homes are averaging 65 days on the market, which is longer than the regional average, and the 7-day average price sits at around $454,213. So clearly, it's much more affordable than the Niagara average that we're seeing. Another reason to consider moving to Fort Erie, because this situation is not going to last forever. This week specifically, we saw 36 new listings, 32 price decreases, and only 7 firm sales. That's telling us that sellers are adjusting expectations while buyers remain cautious and, of course, selective. Why? Because they can. For sellers, this isn't the market to test the waters at the top price range for your product. Buyers have choices, and the data shows they're taking their time. Price it right, and your home will stand out. And in some cases, it's even getting multiple offers. For buyers, this is an opportunity. With longer days on market, the frequent price reductions that we're seeing, you have room to negotiate. But it's also important to act strategically, because when it's priced properly, it will move. If you'd like to break down a tailored look of your property in your specific neighborhood, send me a message. I'll share the most recent sales, average days on market, the absorption rates, so that you can see exactly what it takes for your house to stand out. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk again soon.